as you can see, table tennis is varied in many, many forms, but what I'd like to do here quickly is just allow you guys to ask any questions you want to any of the players. Excuse me, you? What are you doing here? Half a player. Okay, half sit here. Come on. So if anyone wants to ask any questions to any of the players, this is a wonderful opportunity. I remember when I was a youngster and I used to watch table tennis played in British League at my club. I was desperate to ask the players questions, how they got there, what do they do, what certain things. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity that I didn't get to do. So I'm giving it to anyone here, youngsters or it doesn't matter who. Feel free to ask questions, please. Oh, okay, Mini Raquel. Mini Rock.
I have a question.
For who?
My sister.
Oh, sister. Do you not know enough about her? Okay, please, ask. Aha.
The thing is, I don't win all the games.
What's the question?
She asked me, how do I win all the games?
Well, to be a tennis player, you start actually losing, and then eventually we train, and we try and win all our games. Anyone else? Yes.
I would like to ask the older of, I don't know who is the older of the players?
The oldest?
The oldest? Yes.
Who's the oldest? Mado.
Probably.
Mado is the...
What advice would you give to the youngest one starting to play?
So that's an interesting question, and I would like just to say, if they love this sport, just to get example from everyone. So once again, I will repeat what I said. On your question is that I would suggest them, I will give them as a best of what I has as a player, because I start when I was too late, and what I did to be right now here is just because I love that game. If they love this game, to listen everyone and to try to stay more in the table tennis hall and to spend the time that it can improve everything. But there is a lot of information now in internet they can watch just to have a best opportunity to practice. If they want to, they love this sport, you as a parent have to support them. But I said a lot of things right now, but for me the best is just to watch how they play, how they move, how they can read the spin. So it's not easy. Once you stay there, it's very complicated to understand all these things. But if they love this sport, they will find a way to achieve their dream. So never stop to dream if you love this. So I do this because I love this game. So this is what I have to say from deep of my heart. So that's why I'm here to support all these people who love this game, because I love it. So if they love, let's enjoy and never stop to dream.
Did that answer your question? Yes? Did you understand that? Good. Yes, Hassan, question, please.
My question is, there's a few people in my club where I joined this year, and they're very, very good players. They can practice well, but when they come in a competitive match, they mentally, once they start losing, they can't cope with themselves. They lose the match. So how do you keep yourselves mentally strong when you know you're going to be losing?
It's a great question. I think many, even the top players have it as well. So who would you like to point it to?
I say DK, Jarrison.
Mr. Knight?
I would say that it takes obviously a while. Sometimes when you play table tennis, everything, you always imagine yourself playing your best every time you play. You don't say, oh, today I'm going to play my so-so or medium level. So I think what keeps me going is that you're searching for that perfect match. And when you have that perfect match, it almost lasts forever or a year or two. And you keep kind of like working for that perfection. But what is also fun is that when you are playing bad, it also is a bit like a miracle when you come out of that match and you win. I've not been many matches, but I think I've been 2-0, 5-1 down, and I won. I'm thinking, what's happened today? But I think, as you get better or become a better player, the more things you do, like you do a lot of physical, where like, if I believe that I'm faster and stronger than you, it's a way where when I'm down, well, he's not as fast as me, he's not as strong as me, he's not training, with his heart or his mind, he's not riding to training. So there's a time when I lived in Sheffield with the national team with Paul Drinkwater and Pitchford. They were all driving to training with their lovely cars, and I decided to get on a bike, so that when I got to training, I had already almost done my physical. And so then if I could keep up with them in training and focusing, then I had won already. And so sometimes when times were hard, that also helped me know that I'm stronger, I'm better, or I've come from a difficult background. So all those kind of things sometimes help. You can't play there every single match. But obviously when you get to a tournament, the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, or just whatever level you're playing at, the last match of the day, it then comes down to diet. Sometimes if you're eating well, if you're sleeping well, so much emotions happens. But I think the best players, they have bad days, but they either cover it up, pretend like, it's not happening, or they know, how good they really are. So I think it's a very complicated question. I think there's no right or wrong way. It's just sometimes some people are losing because they've been complacent as well. Oh, this guy's not very good, I'm going to beat him easy. And then before you know, you're 1-0 down, or you were 10-8 up, you lost the first set. Then you're a bit unlucky. Then they get a net and rage, and then we're all going crazy and swearing and shouting and upset and crying. So I think there's just so much variable factors that can happen. But obviously, it's all about sometimes doing the research. So if your player is on Google or YouTube, having a look at him. If he does this tricky serve at 9-0, then you're prepared for it. All those kind of small things. I think the better you get, but it happens at all levels. Doesn't matter if it's my level. It's who can control the emotions, who can breathe a bit better, who's a bit more clearer, who's a bit more positive. Sometimes when I'm playing against a player, they're going to serve half long, and then actually they do, because actually what's happening is that everybody's nervous, everybody's tired, so they're a bit more tired if things doesn't go as to how they planned it. So sometimes I think like I'm like a Jedi. Oh, he's going to serve fast, I know it. And when he serves fast, I think I'm a genius. It doesn't always happen, but it's just always like believing that this is what's going to happen, so you're in control of the play. So hopefully that's answered it's a very difficult question, so I probably blabbed on a bit too much.
Great answer. Great answer. Yes, please.
My friend Kit's getting really old. Should he change his game to accommodate his lack of speed and accuracy?
Good question. Who would you like to answer that question?
Well, obviously the older, more older one. So
The oldest.
yeah, put him up to it. What are you trying to say?
Well, I'm the oldest here. I am the oldest here, to be fair.
Oh, for me? Yeah, too bad. You've seen older players. How do they change their game to?
I think it's just about being more clever when you're on the table. So rather than just going for speed, going all out, watch your opponent, look at what their weakness is and just change your game to it. I mean, I'm a perfect example. I like to go back and defend in the first leg, but depending on who I'm playing, I'll adapt my game. If I'm playing someone who likes to chop, I'll actually be the one who attacks. Whereas if I played someone like Gabriel, who I did today, maybe I'd sit back a little bit more because I know his attack's a bit better. So it all depends on who you're playing against, really, on how you want to set your style up. So I hope that's answered your question.
I think so, yeah. I'll tell them to set another sport, but these picking up balls.
I'd like to add a couple of things as well. I think some people do want to change their styles and stuff because we get a little bit slower, don't we? So you've got a few ways of getting around it. Get fitter, somehow, work harder, and or find a new weapon. As I got a bit older as well, I had to develop my backhand, so my forehand was my weapon, and as I got slower, I started to develop my backhand, which allowed me to keep up with the so-called big boys. So yeah, you want to try and find a new weapon if you can, and just work at it, and you'll get it.
good. Where do you run your table tennis club? Stacks. St. Albans.
We've got a lot of players that are young. When they get to the senior, they discover boys and girls. And then they vanish. And come back like years later.
Yeah.
As different players, and they've forgotten everything. What is it to keep them staying in the sport?
Who would you like to answer? You're not a teenager yet. You're not in a few years' time. Probably, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it's quite a tough question to answer. But I don't know, I'd say just keeping people busy, going to competitions quite often, that also helped me. Yeah, I always looked forward to competitions, tried to be as best as I could, so always keeping busy, that always meant that I was looking onto the next thing. So I play a competition, next week I have another one. So it just kept me in the hall all the time, always like having something to look forward to. Yeah, that kept me in the sport.
I'm going to add to it a little bit, if you don't mind. Having coached for a few years now, and I've seen many generations of players, exactly as you said. It is a difficult question, but my suggestions for that kind of scenario is, number one, you have to find what makes them tick. Everyone's different, so you have to find what is that particular thing that kid really enjoys and what do they like. So some players actually just want to play. I'm happy playing. Fine, give them that opportunity. Some players constantly want to improve, so find a way to develop their games. Some players are okay by going out and finding girls and whatever, but you want to try and find a happy medium. They can still do it, but again, try and find a happy medium for them. And then, unfortunately, the system a little bit lets them down as well. You know, we don't have a professional league like in France and Germany, where these youngsters can look up to these absolute world-class players who make 100, 200, 300,000 a year. So they make good money and they do what they love in front of crowds of. Sometimes I went to a German Bundesliga a few months back, and I think it was 1,300 people coming to watch a match. So it's a spectacle. So a bit like football, you know, the youngsters can go and they see 50,000 people watching a match. They say, I want to be there. Where we don't quite have that. So what we have to try and do is find other angles. Bring in a guest coach. Do something like this every so often. Just change it up. Keep finding that little bit extra, and then you'll find the ratio will go up. You'll never keep all of them. Impossible, unfortunately. But if you just keep that little fire lit, finding different things, then you'll find that you'll keep a lot more rather than lose them. So yeah, I hope that helps you. Please, yes.
Question for you, Ellie. What's your best strategy for playing against anti-spin and long pimples?
Anti-spin long pimples. I absolutely love anti-spin long pimples. Back 15 odd years ago, when me and Darius were playing in a shed in a community hall, we used to have this gentleman called Gideon. He was our coach, and he basically forbid us to lose to any defenders. If you lose to a defender, and if you remember, you were severely punished. And we basically practiced a lot against it, number one. And he put in our minds that if you lose to a defender, you're losing to yourself, because effectively the player generally just gets the ball back. So, understanding the spin. And it's quite simplistic, because whatever spin you put on the ball comes back the opposite. So if you do topspin, comes back backspin. If you do backspin, comes back topspin. So you know exactly pre-hand what is, you're in charge of the next ball. So in your mind you can say, right, I'm going to do a topspin serve, it's going to come back backspin, I need to spin it up. So it's simple tactics, but obviously it needs practice. And then your brain starts to switch to understand how to do it. So no real secret. practice and knowing exactly what to spin and what you're doing.
Does anti-spin work exactly the same way
As long pimples? Yes. Yeah, I mean, anti-spin is a little bit less effective. Am I right in saying that?
So anti-spin probably a lot more limited because once you go away from the table, you can't play. But obviously, it just looks the same because the rubber is the same like the topspin rubber. But it's basically playing an illusion on your mind. And
Yes.
you have to, because they were long, because you can go back, you can defend, you can hit with it if you're good, you can chop. Anti-spin probably very good close to the table.
Yes, yes. And Darius is right in terms of the anti-spin many years back. Was it 1970? John, help me with this. 1970. John Hilton? Come on, help me out. Okay, don't. The last European champion, which was John Hilton from England, used anti-spin, both the same colour, and it, as Darius said, it baffled people. The deception was too difficult. He won a European Championship, which actually he wasn't even England #1. I think he was, I don't know, top 5. And after that, they said, right, we can't have this, a guy deceiving players. And he became European Championship. They changed it, as we have today, red and black. So it's a lot easier for an attending player to know what to do.
Can you have anti-spin on both rubbers? You can't.
Yes, you can.
You can.
Yes.
Just before the colour.
Oh, it's the same colour before. Is that what
Yeah. And yes.
1980. I was wondering,
1980.
Darius, question for you. Us local, would we play left hand? No, I was right handers. I was wondering, do you have the same problem playing a left-hander as some of the right-handers?
That's a good question, actually. There was like one period where I loved playing left-handed because it came a bit easier. If I could, if I couldn't read the serve, I'd push it to their backhand, and somehow it would never go off the angle. You know, I was never completely open. But I mean, there's one year I had a period where I lost to 5 left-handers in the 5th. You know, so for me, it's because again, it's a rare style or person to play with. It is quite difficult, and sometimes I enjoy it, sometimes I hate it. It just depends. But I'd rather much play with a right-hander because I know what I get. Because obviously I play with it every day. A lefty is that, because I don't play it so often. I find it, I either love it or I hate it. More times now I hate it. but there's one thing when I was practicing so much that it was fine, it was easy. I was looking forward to even the better player against me. That was like a team of ball mind for me. I want to play you because actually, everything that you're doing, I can see, I can understand. And I also like that because you had more rallies. You had to play more rallies. If I switched it on the line, it wasn't completely. They could still get it against the right. Whatever you do, you're just completely on guard, uneven, but at the same time, your serves are a little bit more effective. You can get more free points. So there's always the pros and cons, but I think the higher level you get, the more that you have an answer for everything. You learn to just deal with it. You may not like it, but if you're I don't know, a top European Dimitri Ovtcharov, he has to know how to play against the left-hander. He may not like it, but he just deals with it, and he'll probably try and show that he doesn't like it, but actually. Dimitri Ovtcharov doesn't like to play left-handed. He's really bad because his receiver's not so good. So I think the better you are, just the more you're able to bluff it. And then obviously if you win a few good matches, it just makes you more confident. You get like an extra star on your back, and that's how it works. But for me, probably the difficult styles are probably against the defender because you know that it's so easy to win a point, it's so easy to lose one when you're tired. When it's 2-2, they're used to being 2-2 against the against an attacker. You're not. Then your hand freezes up a little bit. You hit it out. You hit it on. They start to attack. Then you get a bit tense. So it is quite a complicated game when you're playing against a style. Even if you're playing against a Chinese player that's a penholder with pimples, it's just because they're unusual. But generally, you always find a way to beat them the more you play against it because they're not so effective. I hope that answers your question.
We're done. You want me again? I'll let you speak to your sister.
What's your secret weapon?
What's your secret weapon?
My tomahawk serve.
Tomahawk.
Yeah.
Explain that for the normal person. The everyday person.
So this is the ball.
and like a tomahawk, you're throwing a hammer, and there, slightly going top, slice to top spin, or you can go slice and back spin, or pure slice.
And it, to be fair, when the game is tight, to get that serve to your backhand can be a bit tricky.
There's only two things you can do, right? There's only if you let the ball go by, then the spin goes off, then you can just chop it back, or you step forward and do top spin, right?
Yeah, generally you'll top spin, but some players, of course, the defenders, they'll chop it.
Like that serve because they never know what I'm going to do because I can either go around it, I can go under it, I can put top spin on it, so that's always good. From here, if I'm going to do a side spin serve, then my bat is likely to be here, and then they already know I'm going to do a side spin serve. If I'm going to do a back spin, my bat's here, so they're already like guessing I'm going to do a back spin serve. But if I'm here, no one knows what I'm going to do.
So the starting position is similar, it's the same, but the contact is different.
Yeah.
Nice. Great. So I think we should thank every player Thank you for supporting Elroy and the club and the players, and we hope to see you guys again. I think we're going to set up the tables, so you can have a quick break and we'll set up tables and people can play.
Yep.
You can play, you can enjoy yourselves, and do what you do best, play table tennis. Thank you guys.